Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our meetup done regarding artificial intelligence from concept to application. Today, we will pass in different topics in some theoretical parts, some practical parts, and some useful applications and hints that are useful for tests and for testing activities in IT world. First of all, let's present myself. I'm Luis. I'm from Portugal. I have a master degree in electronics and computers engineering, international experience 8 years. I'm STQB certified, and my role currently is lead tester and have experience in industries like automotive, energy, health, and kitchen. And I will present to you this meetup next minutes. So, our agenda for today, at first, I will give you an introduction generically about the AI topic, and then we will understand the historical evolution during the times, how it started, and the developments during the last years until the current era. The classification, we can have different classifications about AI, and we will have a look for some of them. We will look also for some key areas and understood and learn about some examples. Then one part a bit more technically. In this case, it's about example of algorithms used in AI from different areas. I will explain to you how it works. And then I will show you in a real-time presentation some applications and tips that can turn your life easier using AI. Of course, this presentation it's not only for technical people, and it will be shared some tools that are used for technical persons and other tools that are useful for people from other areas. Also, some future questions and challenges, and in the end, the conclusions and open space for questions. So, starting from the introduction, let's have a look on the concept of AI. Basically, it's a system that simulates the human intelligence, should be able to learn from data and experiences, solve problems, and adjust to new information and environments. All of that parts are mainly composed by algorithms and processes that allow to realize all of that activities. Based on that concept, the AI definition was being created, but it was born a lot of years ago. It's not a topic that is so completely recent, but we will see it in the history path. Next slide. Here we have the why EA is important. So as we can see, it's applicable in a lot of areas. For example, we have in healthcare, when we can personalize treatments and diagnosis for sick people. Then in retail and e-commerce with chatbots for customer support. When we go to some shop and we have a chatbot that can help us to see the prices, the product that we are looking for, applying some filters in the products that we have in the portfolio and things like this. In the education, we can create interactive content. We can learn. We can generate educational content, and it's also helpful in this industry. Of course, automotive industry, and here the main point will go to autonomous driving, but not only on this part, but also in another ones. Logistic and transportations, for example, route optimization, when we can use AI to say to us, okay, the best and profitable route to transport some parts from here to here is this way instead of this way. And we can consider a lot of external factors like the time of the trip, the weather, and a lot of other things. And in the end, other example are the banking and financial services that can help us to detect fraud and investment strategies with some behaviors that are patterns of fraud activities. The AI can generate to us some warnings that can allow understand that we have a big risk to be against a dangerous situation. Here, I would like to show to you this graph. Basically, this is the graph that compared the different industries that I shown to you previously, and as blue is the base of this industry, and as yellow we have the AI influence. As you can see, and what we can conclude from this graph is that the AI increase a lot influence in different areas. Of course, it's changing a lot the reality and the concept of work and the defined processes in all industries, and it's being a revolution in all of them. In the big part, they have positive consequences, but of course, that is not all good in this case. But later we will see about this topic. Here we can see some benefits of usage of UI. For example, the automation of repetitive tasks, improved decision making, personalization of user experience, cost efficiency, improved accessibility, and innovation. That are the main benefits of usage of UI. Of course, there are not only benefits, but that benefits allow we develop and implement processes that turn our life easier, increase the profit, and increase the quality and the behavior of some products and applications. Now let's have a look about historical evolution. So basically, the first time that AI was spoke about a field of study, it was in 1956 in Dartmouth workshop, where the people created the concept of AI, the first concept, let's say, about that. After that, in 1966, we have the creation of Elisa. It was the first chatbot developed by Joseph Weizenbaum. Then, it's one of the most famous cases. In 1997, IBM Deep Blue played with Kasparov. This is a player of chess, world chess champion, let's say. And the computer played with this person and win some games. And it was one of the most famous points for AI. All of that parts have AI involved, of course, in different way than we have currently, but this is the beginning and the first steps. Then we have another evolutions in 2012. We have the deep learning breakthrough. Alex Neck demonstrated the power of neural networks in image recognition. Then in 2016, AlphaGo, another case of a computer playing a game with a professional champion, and the Lee Sedol loses 4-1 to the computer. And of course, currently, one of the most famous is ChatGPT 2023. I guess all of us knows about that. And basically, this is the overview about the history evolution from AI. Basically, the main idea to have that is the AI is not something or some concept or technology that it's using and created only currently in the last years. No, it's a thing that we have faced during the years, but was increased and developed until nowadays and reaching this level. About the classification, we can consider three types based on capabilities. We have the first one that it's narrow intelligence, basically is the one that we are applying nowadays that needs some support and some interaction. For example, we have voice assistance, facial recognition. The second one is artificial general intelligence. In this case, we are talking about a hypothetical concept. It's not being used nowadays, but it's hypothetical. It's under research and development. Basically, this type of AI is human-like intelligence. Try to reach the same level of humans in terms of intelligence and thinking. And we have the third type, artificial superintelligence, that it's also a hypothetical concept, where we have, let's say, AI that superates human intelligence. Basically, think like humans, but can predict, can do another and exceptional thinkings and predictions and a lot of other algorithms to match and superate the human intelligence. Now let's have a look in the key areas. So we will focus on 6 of them: machine learning, computer vision, natural language processing, robotics, expert systems, and generative AI. When we are talking about machine learning, it's using algorithms for static models identify patterns. For example, when we are in our Netflix, we are selecting some movies, we are selecting some series, and the AI behind that will start creating a pattern for us. This person like cars, this person like football, and according your activities in this time, how much time you have the, let's say, the mouse in this movie, how much time you have the mouse in other place. So the AI will start creating your pattern, and after that it will be used to do your recommendation. For example, if I like cars, probably in my recommendations will be Fast and Furious movie. It's one example. The same for fraud detection. According to some kind of typical behaviors from people that is doing fraud attacks, is possible to create some patterns that allow AI learn and then apply alarms or something like that in terms of alerts. Then we have the computer vision. So basically, it's about everything that it's connected with vision. And we have here two examples. In autonomous driving, AI allow recognize the behavior around the car. We use the car to drive, and then with some system like LiDAR, we can collect information around the car, recognize the behavior, and the car can decide what should be done in autonomous driving according to the circumstances that are currently there. And face recognition, where we can recognize people from the face, are creating some kind of patterns, vectors, and geometric diagrams in the face. And with this, it's possible to recognize exactly if it's the person or not, that it's allowed to enter in some place, or can be used also for medical purposes or other areas. Here we have natural language processing. Basically, this area is responsible for understanding human language for machine interaction. In this case, we have two examples, ChatGPT or Google Translate, where we write some text, and these applications with the AI behind can understand what we are saying to that. I said to ChatGPT, give me the number of people that it's something, for example, and you can inform them, and the ChatGPT can understand what you are saying, can understand what you want, and can give you the answer. The same to translator. You write some text and it gives to you the translation. Then also in robotics, here we are talking about self-driving cars, but from the point of view of robotics, and also automation in factories. So basically we have here some robotic arms that are using AI to develop some tasks and automate some processes in factories and other production lines. We also have expert systems that are systems that mimic the decision-making abilities of human experts in specific domains. So basically here we have some processes and methods like this MICIN that allow diagnosis bacterial infections and recommended treatments using AI to detect the behavior and create the patterns about that and focus on a specific context. And the same about approval system. We also have generative AI. As the name says, generative will generate something to us. And here I give to you two examples. The OpenArt, that it's AI that can help you to generate pictures. We will have a demonstration about that in this meetup. And we have Synthesia, that it's used to generate videos and presentations. Basically, both of them work similar to ChatGPT, where you insert your instructions, you explain what you want, how much detailed and how much precise you can, and then it gives to you the result. In the first case, images. In the second case, videos. And this is generative AI. So now we will have a look in some examples of algorithms. So this part is a bit more technically, but I guess it's important to understand what is behind the AI, because a lot of times we are using AI as, let's say, user, and we don't understand exactly well what it's behind that. I will give here some simple examples just to give an overview about some algorithms behind that. And the first one is heuristic state line. So this is an algorithm that it's used to calculate and decide what way should we do. For example, we are here in the start position and we want to go to destination. And I can take two decisions. I can go in the way to the city A, or can go to the way to the city B. So in this case, AI, what is doing? Calculate the distance between city A and destination in line, as you can see in this red arrow, and the distance between city B and destination, as you can see in this red arrow. So the first one is 25 kilometers, second one 35 kilometers. So the car will decide go to the left side because in direct line it's short. Of course, this algorithm is not 100% efficient because the distance in line cannot be a good comparison factor. But in any case, this is one algorithm, and no one says that AI is 100% working. So sometimes it fails, not often, but sometimes it fails. And yeah, this algorithm is one example of that. Another algorithm is this one for optimization, hill climb. How it works? We have a series of data here. Imagine that it's, let's say, temperature or something like that. And the algorithm will choose some random point in our data set. For example, here. Then our algorithm will look to the places close to this point. We'll look to the left side, we'll look to the right side, and we'll compare them. Okay, left side is low, right side is bigger. And so move this point to here. And repeat this iteration in order to find, for example, the maximum, for example, the minimum, or other kind of values on this way. Another algorithm is segmentation, k-means clustering. This is algorithm to group data, and basically we have some data, as you can see in the initial place. We have a lot of blue balls, and we have red balls. So first time the algorithm put here the blue one and the red one center, and see the distance between the points and the main one, and create that groups. But the balance is not good on this case because we have a lot of blues and don't have a lot of reds. So maybe something is wrong. And we do another iteration. And we move the main blue point to the middle of that place. Then we have more blues and the less blues, and more reds on this case. Another round and another round, and in the final stage we will have two main points where we can classify. For example, if I put a point here, will be easy to understand if it's red or blue because the points are well balanced. And after some iterations, the main points are saved in specific place that allow us to categorize the data. We have, for example, one specific data, and easily we can understand if it's blue or red. So here we have another algorithm. Here it's a linear regression. That means we will train your AI for work in terms of line like this. For example, we have here some data, as you can see that blue lines, and we can mark this line, and the expression of this line is done like price equal variable plus variable and size. We will discover B0 and B1, training our AI with old data. And then we have this form that will allow having the price, I can have the size, or having the size, I can have the price. And this form will help us to predict what the value is expected, consider the data that I'm receiving here. So this is another example of algorithm. So now let's have a look in useful applications and tips. So some of them I will pass a bit quickly because it's only to make reference. As I told, it's not only for technical people, and in this case, ChatGPT. About ChatGPT, I only want to add here information that it's really important to give them a context, be direct, and divide the tasks. For example, give the context as I'm giving here. For example, now you are C++ expert, giving a context to ChatGPT, And now I'm asking to explain how to create a function to receive two parameters, integer, and return the sum of them. Basically, I'm giving the context first, then I'm giving what I want, and then I will add another task. So look that I first context, then I give what I want, divide, and then additional information that I want. And the ChatGPT is generating everything for me. So it's let's say overview topic of about ChatGPT, but just to give you some prompt hints, and you can read about prompt engineering that will help you to do better things in ChatGPT. Another thing is about Grammarly. So a lot of people, mainly that persons that work in international business, we speak a lot of times English and sometimes need to write formal documents. And this is Grammarly, one of the best ones where you can insert your texts and you can choose your audience, your level of formality, your domain, and creating done. Basically, according to your parameters, it will give you some corrections suggested for your text. And you can select each one of them and accept or not if you agree or not. It's really useful to create formal texts, and also they have a plugin that works in your browser and do it in real time and allow you fix your texts everywhere. It's really, really useful. Another one is used for translation, so is DeepL. Basically, here we can translate anything you want between different languages, and we can put here the text, and in the other side we have the translation. Yeah, it's a basic example, but I guess also it's possible to translate files if you want to put them, and it works on the same way. Then, as I spoke in the previous examples, here we have how to generate images. Here I use it Open Art, and basically it's similar to ChatGPT. I created here a simple thing like create a picture with a red flower in the garden. We can define the size of your picture. We can decide how much pictures you want. Of course, for free, it's only possible 2 pictures by time, and then it generates to you the picture with flowers in the garden. Of course, you can create better prompts and create and have more and better pictures as you need and as you want for your presentations, work, or something like that. Then we have here one of the main points of the presentation. I will do it in real time. Give me just 1 second. Okay, so I guess you can see my screen. So basically, there are 2 extensions in VS Code that allow us to do interesting things in testing. And I guess this is the main point of this presentation. So basically, this is Tabnin, and the other one is this Kudo Gen AI. I installed both of them to avoid lost some time here. But look, this is a Python file, a simple one that only have a function that receive an option, and according to the option, write some text in the screen. So only that, really simple, because the goal here is not speak about Python, is speak about AI in testing and why it's important and useful for us. So let's look. First functionality, document. I click in document. As you can see, it's processing here something. We need to wait a bit. And then, as you can see, was created the header of the function automatically. The return parameters returns, and you can accept this change or discard if you don't want to keep. I will discard just to avoid create confusion, but I guess you understood the point. Another thing, explain. I press explain, and it's open a window on the left side where will be explaining everything about the function to me. It explains each part, for example, def, else if, option, and other things like this. And the function is explained step by step on this way. So more things, and one of the most useful for testers, I guess, is this one, test. I click in test, and opens to me a window that says, you already have a test plan or a test file? Yes, I have a test file. I go to my test file, is this one test.py, just saying, this file is my file of test. I continue on that, and look, the AI is generating to me all tests or some suggestions of tests for that. Look, that we already have existing tests, the tests that I already have on my file, it was already done. Verify switch case drink function, correct drink messages. So validate the correct case and the empty. Imagine that, for example, test with the drink option that is a numeric value. I click here, the AI is generating the tests, and I have two options. I can copy and paste or say insert in the script. And as you can see, the test was insert here. I can save my file and run the test. And as you can see, the tests are running, and for some reason here one is not okay, but it's not from this case. This is passing, and that's okay. So, and we show how to work with this case. Another example can be using test this function. It's practically the same thing, but instead of you have a test file for that, it will be done in a specific part for CudoGen. For example, I created in test this function, and just a second, it takes some time to open. Okay, as you can see, we have here behaviors coverage. We have a EpiPath, edge cases, and others. And here in the button, we already have 1, 2 tests. I can run all the tests, and the tests pass it. I only have 2 tests, so I can have more of them. For example, EpiPath returns T message when T is passed as input is one example, but let's look for example, no string inputs. We click here in generate test. The test is being generated. And you can see it generated this test with numbers and nothing. I will run all the tests again. And all tests passed, and the tests were generated completely automatically. So, and it was what I would like to show to you in terms of tool for testing and applications for AI. Okay, here we have some future questions or some challenges that we can have in the future. Some of them are interesting and some ethical situations that we can think about that. For example, ethical decision making. Imagine that we are in some car, and this car for autonomous driving, and the AI is controlling this car. So AI can completely understand what's happening around the car, know exactly there is a person here, there is a car here, there is a bus station there. So all environment is completely recognized for AI. And the ethical decision is that imagine that the car lost the control, and the AI understand the lost the control. Of course, that are microseconds between them, and we have in one side one child, and in another side 5 senior people, and the car will need to go in the direction of one or other. What decision should the AI take on this case? Yeah, this is one example of AI ethical decisions that will be a challenge in the future. When I say about this case, there are a lot of examples like this. Another one is the cooperation with humans, of course. When we are talking about AI and human work, it means that, in my opinion, it will not switch completely the presence of humans in the work, but we will have at least one progressive phase where we have the combination of them. So how this combination will work? Will be AI able to understand our behavior? Will be AI ready to interact with us? Are we ready to interact with AI? So this is a challenge that we will have in the future also. Another case, and a bit obvious, the security and malicious use. So AI, as you can see, is really powerful. I guess big part of us uses ChatGPT. A big part of us turn our life absolutely easier with a lot of AI applications, but they can be used also for bad behaviors, for malicious use. This is a concern for a lot of people, and regulamentations and things like this should be done. At least there are some works in this direction, but this is a challenge from the AI, because it can be absolutely dangerous, put the AI power in the wrong hands. And in the end, about the sustainability, about the resources that are needed to maintain and develop the AI is also a challenge for the future. So now let's look to the conclusions. Basically, what it's important to say from this presentation is about the rapid growth of AI last years, and in the future is expected that AI grow more and more and increase the impact in the industries. The second conclusion goes on this direction. Different areas of business like healthcare, finance, transportation, everything, all areas are affected by AI, mainly of them positively. Another thing is think about unethical use of the AI. Where are the borders to use AI? What are the limits? What is positive? What is negative? All of that discussions should be done not only between companies and big organizations, but also from ourselves to ourselves. And of course, significant impact and big impact in the industries and automation in general in the life nowadays. So that's all from my side for today. Now I will open the space for questions. There is no questions from your side? Some curiosity, something that you want to share? Okay, so as we don't have questions, I would like to say thank you all for your participation today in our meetup. It was a pleasure for me to count with all of you. Please scan these QR codes and share your feedback about my performance, about the presentation, about the event. So leave your opinion, allow us to improve and grow, and thank you for your participation.